Brahmovacha Yatrojjatakshitilodvarnaya bibhrat Kraudim tanum sakala yajnamayi manantaha antarmaharnava upagatamadidaichyam tam dramstrayadrimiva vajradharo dadhara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma said, when the ultimate, unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universal called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pursued with him with his tusk. Purport. Since the beginning of creation, the demons and the demigods or the Vaishnavas are always the two classes of living beings to dominate the planets of the universe. Lord Brahma is the first demigod and the Hiranyaksha is the first demon in this universe. Only under certain conditions do the planets float as weightless balls in the air, and as soon as these conditions are disturbed, the planets may fall down in the Garbhodaka ocean, which covers half the universe. The other half is the spherical dome within which the innumerable planetary system exists. The floating of the planets in the weightless air is due to the inner constitution of the globes and the modernized drilling of the earth to exploit oil from within is a sort of disturbance by the modern demons and can result in a greatly harmful reaction to the floating condition of the earth. A similar disturbance was created firmly by the demons headed by Hiranyaksha, the great exploiter of the gold rush, and the earth was detached from its weightless condition and fell down into the Garbhodaka ocean. The Lord, as maintainer of the whole creation of the material world, therefore assumed the gigantic form of a boar with a proportionate snout and picked up the earth from within the water of Garbhodaka. Sri Jayadeva Goswami, the great Vaishnava poet, song as follows. Vasati dasanana kshira dharani tava lagna sesini kalanka kaleva nimagna keshavadhrita sukara rupa jaya jagadisha hare. O Keshava, O Supreme Lord, who have assumed the form of a boar, a lord, the planet Earth rested on your tusk, and it appeared like the moon engraved with spots. Such is the symptom of an incarnation of the Lord. The incarnation of Lord is not the concocted idea of fanciful man who create an incarnation out of imagination. The incarnation of Lord appears under certain extraordinary circumstances, like the above mentioned ocean, and the incarnation performs a task which is not even imaginable by the tiny brain of mankind. The modern creator of the many cheap incarnations may take note of the factual incarnation of God as the gigantic boar with a suitable snout to carry the planet Earth. When the Lord appeared to pick up the earth, the demon of the name Hiranyaksha tried to create a disturbance in the methodical function of the Lord, and therefore he was killed by being pierced by the Lord's tusk. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the demon Hiranyaksha was killed by the hand of the Lord. Therefore, his version is that after being killed by the hand of the Lord, the demon was pursued by the tusk. Sri Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura confirms this version. Hare Krishna.
Next. Jato vichera janat yat suyaman suyakya आकूति सुनूर मरानथ दक्षिणायां लोकत्रयस्य महतीम् अहरद्यत् आर्तिः स्वायम्भुवेन मनुना हरिरित्यनोक्तः. So the Prajapati first begot Suyagya in the womb of his wife Akuti. Then Suyagya begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakshina. Then Suyagya as the Indradeva diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Swayambhu Manu. So in this way, Suyagya, about Suyagya has been spoken. First God Suyagya in the womb of his wife Akuti. Then Suyagya headed by begot demigods headed by Suyama. So this Suyagya, he was like an Indradeva. So this Suyagya was known as Hari. That is how the incarnation has been uh, approved by Swayambhu Manu. Okay, so this Hari is during the time of Swayambhu Manu, Lord appears. Suyagya. He is like Indradeva, he diminishes all the miseries. He is known as Hari. Okay, Vimla read.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी. जातो रुचेर्जनयत सूयमान सुयज्ञ आकूति सुनुरमरानथ दक्षिणायम् लोकत्रयस्य महती महरद यदाति स्वयंभुवेन मनुना हरिरित्यक्तनुक्तः. Translation: The Prajapati first begot Suyagna in the womb of his wife Akuti, and then Suyagna begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakshina. Suyagna, as the Indradev, diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Swayambhu Manu. Purport: in order to guard against the invention of unauthorized incarnation of God by the fanciful, less intelligent persons, the name of the father of the bona fide incarnation is also mentioned in the authorized revealed scriptures. No one therefore can be accepted as an incarnation of the Lord if his father's name, as well as the name of the village or place in which he appears, is not mentioned by the authorized scriptures. In the Bhagavad Purana, the name of the Kali incarnation, which is to take place in almost 400,000 years, is mentioned along with the name of his father and the name of the village in which he will appear. A sane man therefore does not accept any cheap edition of an incarnation without reference to the authorized scriptures. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, next one. So a sane man will not accept anybody as an authorized incarnation until and unless it has been given by authority. Authorized scriptures have told, then only he accepts that person as an incarnation. So sometimes it's Shakti Avesh avatar, sometimes Leela avataras, sometimes Kala avataras. But this is Shakti Avesh avatar. Like this. Jagge Chakardam, Jagge Sakardama, Gruhe Dvijadeva Putyaham, Srivim Samam, Navabhiratmagatim Samatre, Uche Yayatma Shamalam Gunasanga Pankam. अस्मिन् विधूय कपिलस्य गतिं प्रपेदे. So Kapil Muni, Jagge cha Kardam Gruhe. In Kardama's house, Gruhe, O Brahmana, Devahutyam, in the womb of Devahuti, Srivi, Kamam, accompanied by Navabhi by 9, Atmagatim, spiritual realization, Swamatre unto his mother, Uche uttered. So the Lord appeared as Kapila in the Brahmana's house, that is Kardama's house, in the womb of Devahuti, along with 9 other women, that is sisters. He spoke to his mother about self realization, by which in that very lifetime she became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila. So, Atma Shamalam Gunasangaha Pankam Asmin Vidhaya. In this way, all the dirtiness automatically went away. She was cleansed of the mud of the material modes, and in this way she attained liberation. So this Kapil Devaki Sambad where Kapil Muni speaks in the third canto, it is there, 25th chapter, 32nd chapter. How Kapil Muni speaks about the self-realization through his mother Devaki. Okay, Krishna. Kusum, can you read? Kusum.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I'm audible, Mataji?
Yes, yes, read.
Hare Krishna. Text 3. Jagne kartama grihe dvijadiva hutyam stribhi samam navabhir atmagatim swamatre yu uche yayatma samalam gunasangha pankam asmin vidhuya kapilasya katim prapede. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord then appeared as the Kapila incarnation, being the son of the Prajapati, Brahmana, Kardama, and his wife Devahuti, along with 9 other women sisters. He spoke to his mother about self-realization, by which, in that very lifetime, she became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila. Purport. The instructions of Lord Kapila to his mother Devahuti are fully described in the third canto, chapters 25 to 32 of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, and anyone who follows the instructions can achieve the same liberation obtained by Devahuti. The Lord spoke Bhagavad Gita, and thereby Arjuna achieved self realization, and even today, anyone who follows the path of Arjuna can also attain the same benefit as Sri Arjuna. The scriptures are meant for this purpose. Foolish, unintelligent persons make their own interpretations by imagination and thus mislead their followers, causing them to remain in the dungeon of material existence. However, simply by following the instructions imparted by Lord Krishna or Lord Kapila, one can obtain the highest benefit even today. The word Atmagatim is significant in the sense of perfect knowledge of the Supreme. One should not be satisfied simply by knowing the qualitative equality of the Lord and the living being. One should know the Lord as much as can be known by our limited knowledge. It is impossible for the Lord to be known perfectly as He is, even by such liberated persons as Shiva or Brahma. So, what to speak of other demigods or men in this world? Still, by following the principles of the great devotees and the instructions available in the scriptures, one can know to a considerable extent the features of the Lord. His Lordship Kapila, the incarnation of the Lord, instructed his mother fully about the personal form of the Lord, and thereby she realized the personal form of the Lord and was able to achieve a place in the Vaikuntha Loka where Lord Kapila predominates. Every incarnation of the Lord has his own abode in the spiritual sky. Therefore, Lord Kapila also has his separate Vaikuntha planet. The spiritual sky is not void. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in each of them, the Lord, by his innumerable expansions, predominates, and the pure devotees who are there also live in the same style as the Lord and his eternal associates. When the Lord descends personally or by his personal plenary expansions, such incarnations are called Amsha Kala, Guna, Yuga, and Manvantara incarnations. And when the Lord's associates descend by the order of the Lord, such incarnations are called Satyavesha incarnations. But in all cases, all the incarnations are supported by the invulnerable statements of the authorized scriptures and not by any imagination of some self interested propagandist. Such incarnations of the Lord in either of the above categories always declare the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate truth. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Truth is just a process of negation of the form of the Lord from the mundane conception of the Supreme Truth. The living entities, by their very constitution, are spiritually as good as the Lord, and the only difference between them is that the Lord is always supreme and pure, without contamination by the modes of material nature, whereas the living entities are apt to be contaminated by association with the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. This contamination by the material modes can be washed off completely by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate issue, and therefore, those who are directly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord not only acquire the necessary knowledge in spiritual science but also attain detachment from material connection and are thus promoted to the kingdom of God by complete liberation, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mamchaye यो व्याभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते स गुणान् समतीत्यैतान् ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते.
Wait. Mam chayo vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatite tam bhuyaya kalpate. Whoever is doing avipichari bhakti. Avipichari bhakti means unmotivated, undeviated devotional service. They transcend three modes of material nature. Read.
Even in the non-liberated stage, a living entity can be directly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, or his plenary expansions like Rama and Narasimha. Thus, with the proportionate improvement of such transcendental devotional service, the devotee makes definite progress towards Brahmagatim or Atmagatim and ultimately attains Kapilasya Gatim or the abode of the Lord without difficulty. The antiseptic potency of devotional service to the Lord is so great that it can neutralize the material infection even in the present life of a devotee. A devotee does not need to wait for his next birth for complete liberation. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
So devotee need not wait for the next birth. Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasa gira nikhilashapi avastasu jivan mukta uchyate. In this lifetime itself, a person can attain liberation just by serving Krishna. Iha yasya hare dasya, just be Haridas. Then within this lifetime itself, a person can attain liberation. So till now, how many incarnation? One is Sukara Rupa, that is Varaha, then Hari, then now came Kapila Muni. So Shakti Avesha Avatar. So whenever it is been scheduled incarnation, that means it has been authorized by the scriptures, then only we accept it as an incarnation. Then Atrerapatyam Avikankshat आहतुष्टो दत्तो मयाहम् इति यद् भगवान् स दत्तः यदुपादपङ्कजपरागपवित्रदेह योगर्धिमापुर् उभयं यदुहैह याद्यः. So Atri Rishi, the great Atri Rishi prayed for an offspring. That is Dattatreya now. Dattatreya incarnation has been spoken. Apatyam, he wanted an issue. Abhikankshata, that means that is why he prayed. And then Lord was fully satisfied. Said, Maya aham iti yat, because Bhagavan, Lord is very much satisfied. And Lord gave, the Lord himself appeared as Atri's son, that is Dattatreya. Datta, son of Atri, Dattatreya. That is why Atri is come, Dattatreya. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Hayhayas, etc. became purified. That they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Pavitra, they became pavitra because of Pankaja Paraga, Yadupada Pankaja Paraga, because of the dust of the lotus feet of Dattatreya. Atri Rishi's Muni, that is why he is Dattatreya. So in this way, they got mystic powers. They got even the opulence with the mystic powers. So Yadu and other kings, Hayas kings, all they got spiritual blessings. They also got material blessings also. Okay? Read. Narayana, read.
Mataji, may I read?
Read.
अत्रेरपत्यम् अभिकाङ्क्षत आहतुष्टो दत्तो मयाहम् इति यद्भगवान् स दत्तः यत्पादपङ्कज परागपवित्रदेह योगार्धिम् आपुरुभयं यदुहैहयाद्यः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Hayhayas, etc. became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Transcendental relations between the personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternally established in 5 different affectionate humors, which are known as Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The sage Atri was related with the Lord in the affectionate Vatsalya humor, and therefore, as a result of his devotional perfection, he was inclined to have the personality of Godhead as his son. The Lord accepted his prayer and he gave himself as the son of Atri. Such a relation of sonhood between the Lord and his pure devotees can be cited in many instances. And because the Lord is unlimited, he has an unlimited number of father devotees. Factually, the Lord is the father of all living entities, but out of transcendental affection and love between the Lord and his devotees, the Lord takes more pleasure in becoming the son of a devotee than in becoming one's father. The father actually serves the son, whereas the son only demands all sorts of services from the father. Therefore, a pure devotee who is always inclined to serve the Lord wants him as the son and not as the father. The Lord also accepts such service from the devotee, and thus the devotee becomes more than the Lord. The impersonalist desire to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the uh, Lord, surpassing the desire of the greatest monist. Parents and other relatives of the Lord achieve all mystic opulences automatically because of their intimate relationship with the Lord. Such opulences include all details of material enjoyment, salvation, and mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not seek them separately, wasting his valuable time in life. The valuable time of one's life must therefore be fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Then other desirable achievements are automatically gained. But even after obtaining such achievements, one should be on guard against the pitfall of offenses at the feet of devotees. The vivid example is Haihaya, who achieved all such perfection in devotional service, but because of his offense at the feet of a devotee, he was killed by Lord Parshuram. The Lord became the son of the great sage Atri and became known as Dattatreya. Hare Krishna.
Hayhaya. Nice name. So they, in this way, Lord gave them opulence also, spiritual knowledge also. Next. Next incarnation, all 4 Kumaras. All these are Shakti Avesha Avatar. Now what we are speaking is all Shakti Avesha Avatar. Leela Avatar is Super Avatar, Leela Avatar.
तप्तं तपो विपितलोकसिसृक्षया मे आदौ सनाथ स्वतपसः स चतुर्सनो भूत् प्राकल्पसम्प्लव विनष्टम् इहात्मतत्त्वं सम्यक् जगाद मुनयो यदचक्षतात्मन् taptam. So undergone austerities. Tapaha, penance. Vibidha lokaha, different planetary systems. Siksrushaya, desiring to create. Me of mind. Adav, at first. Sanata, from the personality of Godhead. Swatapasaha, by dint of my own finances. Saha, he, the Lord. Chatursanaha, the fourth bachelor's name. Sanat Kumar, Sanat, Sanak, Sanandan, and Sanatan. Abhuta, appeared, Prak, previous, Kalpa, creation. So during the inundation, Vinashtam, devastated, Iha, in this world. Atma, the spirit, Tattvam, the truth, Samyak, incomplete, Jagada, came manifested, Muniha, the sages, that yet that which Achakshata saw clearly, Atman, the spirit. So to create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerities and penance. And the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 sanas. That is Sanat, that is Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan. In the previous creation, the spirit soul, the spiritual truth was devastated. But the 4 sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. So here, Lord and the living entities are qualitatively same. That is why they are known as eternal, Sanatan Tama. But the Lord is Sanatan Tama, or eternal. Lord is always eternal. The living entities are also eternal. That is what is spoken here. So to create different planetary systems, I had to undergo different. Now here Brahmaji is speaking this. I had to undergo different austerities. And Lord was very pleased with Brahmaji. That is why he gave him 4 sons. These 4 sons, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, they were not ready to participate in the creation of the material world. That is the progeny and all, they were not interested. So that is how these 4 sons came and revived the spiritual truth, which was devastated. Again, it was revealed. So actually, which truth they wanted to create? He wanted them to create the material world, but they created the spiritual world. That means they revived the lost knowledge. Vimla, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. तप्तं तपो विविधलोकशुश्रूषया सिमे आदि सनात स्वतपसः स चतुःसनो भूत प्राकल्पसम्प्लवः विनष्टमिहात्मतत्त्वं सम्यक् जगाद मुनयो यदक्षरचक्षतात्मनः. Translation: to create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerities and penance, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 sanas: Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the 4 sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. Purport: the Vishnu Shastranam prayers mention the Lord's name as Sanat and Sanatanatma. Sanatanatma. The Lord and the living entities are both qualitatively Sanatan, or eternal, but the Lord is Sanatan Tama, or the eternal, in the superlative degree. The living entities are positively Sanatan, but not superlatively, because the living entities are apt to fall to the atmosphere of non-eternity. Therefore, the living entities are quantitatively different from the superlative Sanatan, the Lord. The word Son is also used in the sense of charity. Therefore, when everything is given up in charity unto the Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotee. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Brahmaji wanted to create the whole cosmic situation as it was in the previous millennium, and because in the last devastation, knowledge of the absolute truth was altogether erased from the universe, he desired that the same knowledge again be renovated, otherwise, there would be no meaning in the creation. Because transcendental knowledge is a prime necessity, the ever conditioned souls are given a chance for liberation in every millennium of the creation. This mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the grace of the Lord when the four sanas, namely Sanat Kumar, Sanananda, and Sanatan, appeared as his four sons. These four sanas were incarnations of the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, and as such, they explained transcendental knowledge so explicitly that all the sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. By following in the footsteps of the four Kumaras, one can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Next. Four Kumaras. Now, next incarnation, let us see. Dharma. Dharmamurti. Nar Narayana Rishi. Going to Badrikashram, na? Badrikashram only Nar Narayana Rishi appeared. Dharmasya Daksha Dohitari Ajanishtamurtayam Narayano Nar iti स्वतपः प्रभावः दृष्टात्मनो भगवतो नियमावलोकम् देवस्वतनङ्गपृतनः घटितुं न शेकुः. So he wanted to show, he wanted to exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance. So he appeared in the two forms. Dharmasya, of the controller of religious principles, Daksha, one of the Prajapati, Duhitari, unto the daughter Ajanishtaha, took birth. Murteha, of the name Murti, Narayana, Narayana, Nara. Iti thus, Svapattapaha, personal finances, Prabhavaha, strength, Drishtava, by seeing, Atmanaha, of his own, Bhagavataha, of the personality of Godhead, Niyama, Avalokam, breaking the womb, Devayaha, celestial beauties, to birth, Ananga Prutanaha, companion of Cupid, Ghatitum, to happen, never, Chekshu, made possible. To exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance, he appeared in twin forms, Narayana and Nara, in the womb of Murti, the wife of Dharma, and the daughter of Daksha. Celestial beauties, the companions of Cupid, went to try to break his vows, but they were unsuccessful, for they saw that many beauties like them were emanating from him, the personality of God. Narayana Rishi. So it so happened in Vaikuntha, when Narada appeared, when Narada came, Narada said, "Hey, you are doing bhoga in Vaikuntha. You are enjoying in Vaikuntha. See there, all are doing tapasya." So then Lord told, "Okay, I will also do tapasya." In this way, Lord appears to do tapasya. He appears in two forms, Nar and Narayana. And then what Lakshmi will do then? Alone in Vaikuntha, she appears as Badri. Badri means the bear tree, the bear vriksha. He said there's only one bear vriksha in the whole of Badrikashram. In this May, May end, we are going to Badrikashram. So this is the place. So to destroy his tapasya, many beautiful ladies, these apsaras were sent. But what they saw, many beauties are coming from his body. In this way, they were shocked.
Then all the beauty, everything emanates from Krishna. Okay, 6th verse. Krishna Priya read.
Hare Krishna. Text 6. Dharmasya dakshadुहितर्यजनिष्ठमूर्त्या नारायणो नर इति स्वतपः प्रभावा द्रष्ट्रात्मनो भगवतो नियमावलोपम् देव्यस्त्वनङ्गपृतना घटितुं न सोकुः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance, he appeared in twin form as a Narayana and Nara in the womb of Murti, the wife of Dharma and the daughter of Daksha. Celestial beauties, the companions of Cupid, went to try to break his vows, but they were unsuccessful, for they saw that many beauties like them were emanating from him. The personality of Godhead, purport. The Lord, being the source of everything that be, is the origin of all austerities and penances also. Great vows of austerity are undertaken by sages to achieve success in self realization. Human's life is meant for such tapasya, with the great vows of celibacy or brahmacharya. In the rigid life of tapasya, there is no place for the association of women, and because human life is not meant for tapasya, for self realization, factual human civilization, as conceived by the system of Sanatana Dharma, are the school of four castes and four orders of life, prescribes rigid disassociation for women in three stages of life. In the order of gradual cultural development, one's life may be divided into four divisions: celibacy, household life, retirement, and renunciation. During the first stage of life, up to 25 years of age, a man may be trained as a brahmacharya under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, just to understand the woman is the real binding force in material existence. If one want to get freedom from the material bondage of conditional life, he must get free from the attraction for the form of a woman. Woman or the fair sex is the enchanting principle for the living entities. And the male form, especially in the human being, is meant for self realization. The whole world is moving under the spell of womanly attraction, and as soon as a man become united with a woman, he at once become a victim of material bondage under a tight knot. The desires for lording it over the material world under the intoxication of a false sense of lordship specifically begins with just after the man's unification with a woman. The desires for acquiring a house, possessing land, having children, and becoming prominent in society, the affection for community and the place of birth, and the hankering for wealth, which are all are like fan, phantasmagoria or illusory dreams. Encumber a human being, and he is thus impeded in his progress towards self realization, the real aim of life. The brahmachari or a boy from the age of 5 years, especially from the higher castes, namely from the scholarly parents, the brahmanas, the administrative parents, the kshatriyas, or the mercantile or a productive parents, the vaishyas, is trained until 25 years of age under the care of a bona fide guru or teacher. And under strict observance of discipline, he comes to understand the value of life, along with the taking specific training for a livelihood. The brahmachari is then allowed to go home and entire household life and enter household life and get married to a suitable woman. But there are many brahmacharis who do not go home to become householder, but continue the life of Naishtika brahmacharis without any connection with women. They accept the order of sannyasa or the renounced order of life, knowing well that combination with women is an unnecessary burden that checks self realization. Since sex desire is very strong at a certain stage of life, the Guru may allow the brahmachari to marry. This license is given to a brahmachari who is unable to continue the way of Naistika brahmacharya, and such discrimination are possible for the bona fide Guru. A program of a so called family planning is needed. The householder who associates with women under scriptural restrictions after a thorough training of a brahmacharya cannot be a householder like cats and dogs. Such a householder, after 50 years of age, would retire from the association of women as a vanaprastha to be trained to live alone with the association of women. When the practice is complete, the same retired householder becomes a sannyasi, strictly separate from women, even from his married wife. Studying the whole scheme of disassociation for women, it appears that a woman is a stumbling block for a self realization, and the Lord appeared as Narayana to teach the principle of womanly disassociation with a woe in life. The demigods, being invoice of the austere life of the rigid brahmacharya, would try to cause them break their oaths by dispatching soldiers of Cupid. But in the case of the Lord, it became an unsuccessful attempt when the celestial beauties saw that the Lord can produce innumerable such beauties by his mystic internal potency, and that there was constantly no need to be attracted by other externally. There is a common proverb that a confection, confectioner is never attracted by sweetmeats. The confectioner who is always manufacturing sweetmeats has ever little desire to eat them. Similarly, the Lord, by his pleasure potential power, can produce innumerable spiritual beauty and not be the least attracted by the false beauties of material creation. One who does not know alleges foolishly that Lord Krishna enjoyed women in his Rasalila in Vrindavana or with his 16,000 married wives at Dwaraka. Hare Krishna.
कामं दहन्ति कृतिनो ननु रोषदृष्ट्या. About Lord Shiva has been spoken, Kalavatar of Krishna. रोषं दहन्तमृत तेन दहन्त्य सद्यं सोऽयं यदन्तरमलं प्रविशन् विपेति कामः कथं नु पुनरस्य मनः श्रयेत. Kamam, the lust, dahanti, chastise, Kritinah, the great star worlds, Nanu, but Roshaha Drishtiha, by wrathful glance, Rosham, wrath, Dahantam, being overwhelmed, Uta, although they, Na cannot, Dahanti, subjugate, Asahayam, intolerable, Saha, that I am him, yet, because Antaram within, Alam, however, Pravisham, entering, Vibheti, is afraid of, Kamaha, lust, Katham, how to know. As a matter of fact, Punha again, Asya his, Manah mind, Shreyata, take shall drop. So great star worlds like Lord Shiva can by their wrathful glances overcome lust and vanquish him, yet they cannot be free from overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who is above all this, so how can the lust enter his mind? So Guru Muni, he wanted to check who is Krishna and who is Lord. So he tested with Brahma, with Lord Shiva. But Lord Shiva, though he can vanquish everything, but even that wrath is there in him. So then he comes to a conclusion, yes, it is Lord Krishna who is the God. Here about Bhrugu very indirectly has been spoken. There is nothing like any incarnation has been spoken, but about Bhrugu who has established that Lord Narayana is God. Okay. So till here will do. So Kusum read last one.
Mataji, can I read?
Read.
Kusum Mataji, can I read?
Read.
Yes, sure, Prabhuji.
कामं दहन्ति कृतिनो ननु दृष्टया रोषं दहन्तमुत तेन दहन्त्य सह्यं सोऽयं यदन्तरमलं प्रविशन् बिभेति कामं कथ नु पुनरस्य मनः श्रयेत. Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can by their wrathful glances overcome lust and vanquish him, yet they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who is above all of this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind? Purport: when Lord Shiva was engaged in severely austere meditation, Cupid, the demigod of lust, threw his arrow of sex desire. Lord Shiva, thus being angry at him, glanced at Cupid in great wrath, and at once the body of the Cupid was annihilated. Although Lord Shiva was so powerful, he was unable to get free from the effects of such wrath. But in the behavior of Lord Vishnu, there is no incident of such wrath at any time. On the contrary, Bhrigu Muni tested the tolerance of the Lord by purposefully kicking his chest. But instead of being angry at Bhrigu Muni, the Lord begged his pardon, saying that Bhrigu Muni's leg might have been badly hurt because his chest is too hard. The Lord has the sign of the foot of Bhrigupada as the mark of tolerance. The Lord, therefore, is never affected by any kind of wrath. So, how can there be a place for lust which is less strong than wrath? When lust or desire is not fulfilled, there is the appearance of wrath. But in the absence of wrath, how can there be any place for lust? The Lord is known as Aptakama, or one who can fulfill his desires by himself. He does not require anyone's help to satisfy his desires. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited. All the living entities, but the Lord, are limited in every respect. How then can the limited satisfy the desires of the unlimited? The conclusion is that the absolute personality of Godhead has neither lust nor anger, and even if there is sometimes a show of lust and anger by the absolute, it should be considered as absolute benediction. Hare Krishna.
Stop here. And we'll see. About Dhruv Maharaj is also spoken. That how Dhruv Maharaj is also scheduled incarnations, in that how Lord appears to Dhruv Maharaj about him, how Lord appeared to Bhrigu, how Lord appeared as Prithu Maharaj, all those things will come. Then we have about Rishabdev, then we have about Hekriva, and then actually this topic is again coming. In the first canto, in the third chapter, we had these scheduled incarnations. 24 incarnations were spoken. Again, the chapter is there about the scheduled incarnation. Okay. We'll stop here.